afternoon and welcome to the Rugby Review. We're here in a very blustery Leicester where we've just concluded round 5 of the Gallagher Premiership, and what a weekend it has been. It all started back on Friday when we were at Northampton Saints and Newcastle Falcons. Well, they managed to end their winless run in fine form as well. We'll show you some of the celebrations from that over the course of the next 45 minutes or so. We'll also recap what happened over the weekend. Bristol were in scintillating form, but Saracens pipped them to the post. What drama we have had. And today, here in Leicester, they have regained the Slater Cup. They have beaten Gloucester on the day to take that trophy off the back of the East Midlands Derby win last weekend. They've lifted a piece of silverware here this evening. What a round it has been. Welcome to the Rugby Review.
Can't get drawn breath. The Premiership's great entertainment. There's a lot more drama to come. Hard away from round one and it's over. The drought in Newcastle is over. Brown straightly through the hole, carries after it and dives despairingly. Jackson Boydie's found Daly and Daly will go over. Smith, he's got it. That's a score on debut.
Leicester Tigers 29, Gloucester Rugby 26 in the end. The Slater Cup is staying here at Matty Olywood, Twelford Road, and two of the stars of the Tigers outfit are with me now. Freddie, I wanted to start with you on that one because you were there for the duration. It looked absolutely exhausting out there, and you took some shots in the midfield. How are you feeling?
Yeah, battered and bruised. Hell of a battle. You know, we knew with what's on the line today and the story around this fixture at Eds, it was going to be a battle, it was going to be a fight, and Gloucester brought that today. They were physical, they moved the ball well, so you know we had to dig in and win ugly, and we did that.
Our Glaswegian wordsmith in commentary, Jamie Lyle, called you Big Bad Freddie Stewart in commentary when you were at Falcons the other week. Have you had some stick for that?
Not really, big, maybe, not bad. I'm not sure bad is the right word, but I'll take that.
That's what I was going to say, because you're always so smiley, you're such a jovial figure, but there is this menace about you this year in the midfield. When do you snap the visor down? When do you go into beast mode pre-match?
You know, we've got a great coach in Czech who is brilliant at motivating us. You know, he knows how to get the best out of us physically and emotionally. So, you know, when he speaks before kick-off, the lads are raring to go and frothing at the mouth. So he's good at that and he gets me going. That's probably why he's seen a bit of that on the pitch.
OK, well, from Big Bad to Jack alongside me, he's been giggling like nothing else. Michael Checker, take me inside the locker room at half-time now. What is he saying? Is it hairdryer? Is it words of encouragement? Is it cuddles?
Yeah, we got a bit of a hairdryer today, and I think we deserved it as well. First half, we were nowhere near at the races. Yeah, we just slow around the park a little bit, weren't getting into our shape that we wanted to, and yeah, we probably deserved a bit of a hairdryer, but it was good. Like, it was hairdryer, but with details on what we needed to do better, and it was clear for us as soon as we came out in the second half what we needed to do, and we were good to get a quick turnaround after that, but then weren't able to keep it going. Gloucester came back into it, so no, there's plenty to improve on after the first half and aspects of that second half.
Well, we got you over the line with a try-bonus point to boot, so off you two head to Girona, not Verona. It's so confusing that England go to two identical-sounding places for their training camps. How's your golf, Jack?
You know what, I'm playing in a while. I sort of turned to paddle over summer. I quite enjoy a bit of paddle now. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I've not been to Girona. Always say it's really good, so no, I'm looking forward to it.
How's your golf, Freddie? How's Girona?
Terrible, and I'm not sure we'll have the energy after our train out there. I think it'll be hot, so we'll be working hard, but we'll enjoy. We'll have a good time. Looking forward to it.
Are you two roommates? Who do you stay with in England camp?
We have been. Swaps and changes. I seem to get the Tigers boys a lot. It's either Ches, George, or Fred. So yeah, I'm happy. If I walk in at Jackson now, I'm happy. He's a good roommate. Do that. Well,
neither of you mentioned Dan Cole. Not rooming with him?
No, I haven't actually roomed with Coley, no.
Big George Martin runs a Dan Cole. We actually have Crossword Club, which we started up, I think it was 2 campaigns ago. We nipped in there for a cup of tea. Coley helps me and George out and Jack with crosswords.
Crossword Club. So early on when Emma said to Ollie, did you celebrate like the Tigers of old? And he had a chuckle. What he meant was it was a Sudoku and a cup of tea.
What, is it after last week? No, that wasn't crossword.
So that wasn't Crossword Club.
During the week, weekends are slightly different after a good win.
Good to know you can still let your hair down a little bit. You absolutely deserve to after today because it was a fantastic victory. Congratulations to both of you. Good luck in the paddle. Good luck both of you in the crosswords, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And as a proud Scot, I'm delighted that they didn't celebrate with the Crossword Club, that they were a bit more out there than that. Well, welcome along. Emily Scarrett is with me. Hello, Emily. Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Is it nice to be back in the UK, back to these lovely home comfort weather?
Yeah, it is. To be fair, we had a fair bit of rain out in Vancouver as well, but yeah, it's always nice to get home, back to your own bed and home comforts.
Yeah, it certainly is. So you have to say, it's a lovely evening, a bit windy out here. We've got a PWR match, haven't we, taking place here. We've got Leicester against Harlequins. That's coming up a little bit later on. How do you see that one going?
Yeah, I think it will be hopefully a really good contest. Harlequins have been going pretty well. Leicester have, they struggled off the back of last season, but certainly made really positive strides moving into this season. The difficulty a lot of teams have in the PWR at the moment is they've not got their internationals back. Some of them have returned for this weekend, but certainly in the first 2 rounds, definitely there are no internationals present in the league. So it really tested the depth of these clubs, of which obviously some come through better than others. But yeah, hopefully it'll be a great game here for any of the fans that stay behind.
Yeah, let's have a look at some of the key moments from yesterday then, because there was no shortage of action with a double header here in this one. Bristol 41, Saracens 24 this one. But just what about the way that this match unfolded? Because it ebbed back and forth, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, and this is a rerun of one of the semi-finals from last season, so it was kind of hotly anticipated. Again, I repeat myself, but obviously quite a few internationals not present, but both of these sides have really good strength and depth in club players. This score from Millie Davis, brilliant, just the gas of the wheels to get on the outside. Yeah, as you say, it was back and forth, really great contest at Ashton Gate. May Campbell coming up here for her second try. She got player of the match, brilliant from her. But Saracens just proved a little bit too strong. Their defensive pressure around some of the breakdown stuff and getting off the line is something they pride themselves on, and they've shown already this season that they're probably good for it again this season.
Yeah, and still unbeaten as well, aren't they? As are Exeter as well this season.
Yeah, they potentially a shock result against Gloucester Hartpury yesterday, taking down the champions. Again, without lots of internationals, so sometimes you're not quite sure where we're pitching ourselves at the moment yet in this season with obviously all of those players to come back. But certainly for Exeter, they've been the nearly people, the nearly club for so many years now. They've not quite got over the line. But yeah, for them, it's been a brilliant start to this season.
And a win for Loughborough as well against Sale.
Come on, yeah, it's really good to get our first win on the board. I'm obviously hoping to move forward really positively this season.
Yeah, certainly. So lots of action to look ahead to as well for the PWR here, but we've also got plenty to look back on as far as the rugby review is concerned, because Dan Bigger is with us, as is Austin Healy, so stay with us. We'll be chatting to both of those after this.
Figures at it again.
And here he is. That bring back the memories.
I'll try and get some of that clip footage from my agent, I think, see if he can give you a gig somewhere next year.
He rocks up with his own show reel. Where's mine?
Where's Austin's? Where's Austin's?
Is it black and white not acceptable?
I'm not quite sure how popular that's
It's
going to
not
be.
in the right format for the TV now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wish I'd known. I've got some home video. No, I probably wouldn't have.
But,
Anyway.
Right, moving swiftly on. Great to have you with us, though, Dan.
Great
How
to
are
be
you?
here. Yeah, very good, really good. Really enjoyed that game this afternoon, actually. Another tight game again in the Premiership, and yeah, really enjoyed it. It was just great being here, great doing bits and pieces like this, and love to do a little bit more, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you with us. And also, we've been treated to a fantastic weekend, haven't we? Round 5 at the Gallagher Premiership. 38 tries, no less. And here we have it. It all started back on Friday night, and Newcastle finally have a victory.
Yeah, one side who wanted to win arguably more than anybody else was definitely the Falcons. Didn't get off to the best to start with. They were both going over for a try, just to see whether he picks up the England shirt. I'm sure we'll talk about that more later. But then they just had that northern grit, didn't they? They found the Van der Vault going over. They get the drive as well. Grayson with a drop goal. It was just a little bit of everything, and Desire really carried the Falcons through, and probably a really big stick from Steve Diamond as well.
I think he's just simplified things up there, hasn't he? He's made them tough to beat, whereas probably the first 3 or 4 weekends they weren't overly tough to beat. And like I said, Grayson knocking a drop goal over here. I thought he was really good. I thought Callum Chick was really good. I thought Van der Vault was really, really good. And they just rolled their sleeves up on Friday night, didn't they? And I think it's really important for the league, isn't it? The league's been the product in the Premiership at the minute is so high and so good. Probably one criticism we could have levelled is probably Newcastle being cut adrift a little bit and being a little bit of the whipping boys, whereas this weekend has been brilliant for the league, brilliant for Newcastle, and hopefully that's a bit of a springboard for them.
Lots of concern as well for the Chiefs, who've put for a last second try by Leicester Tigers, wouldn't have had that losing start. But Friday night was a brilliant game, and Northampton were at their absolute best. Sale, not so, but you can only play what's in front of you. Freeman's coming into some really good form, as is Furbank, who has been all season, and these guys now are real big positives to that England back line, because both of them have got to be in that back line when it's selected.
Would you have liked to have played with these guys, Dan?
Well, I did play with them for a bit. I reckon it's all my doing that they're now where they're at. Yeah. No, I mean, the bonus point within 23 minutes, Sale will wish they hadn't turned up, I think, is the bottom line. I think, this Northampton Saints team is an unbelievably well-drilled team. The clarity that it has throughout the week from the coaches. And you see these tries, and you see they get the bounce of the ball, and they get a little bit of luck in this game in particular, but they're so well drilled, everyone's on the same page, they're just a brilliantly coached rugby team with brilliant athletes and brilliant players in at the minute, and they're going to take some beating by the end of the season, I've got no doubt about that.
Yeah, it was a scintillating first half performance. Sale, did manage to come back into it, but we talked about it on the night. Tommy Freeman at 13 is a real interesting development for him, and something that we could see a lot more often.
And also as a back three playing outside of it, he actually gives them a bit more space, because people have to stay for him. He's such a big unit. But I think Furbank is the linchpin in all of this. He picks up secondary balls, he distributes really well, he always makes half breaks. The week before he created all of their tries, and you've got Rahm coming off the bench. You've got real quality across the backs.
This game, Bristol are doing a Bristol basically. Every time the cameras are in Bristol, it's an absolute helter-skelter sort of ping-pong game, and it's just they're playing some brilliant rugby, albeit they haven't won at home for 3 years 3 matches now, so they're going to have to sort that out. But some of the rugby on display, this is probably the game of the weekend from both teams, and I think you can see Sarries are buying into this real positive approach to the league and scoring tries, and they've changed the way they played a little bit, getting athletes like Sagan on the ball. Daly had a brilliant game. Whether he can force his way into that England 23 is going to be a big question, and this guy, I mean, just absolutely ridiculously good, wasn't he? Probably until the last 10 seconds. But look at, I mean, just brilliant X factor. Just a brilliant
He's clearly
performance.
worked a lot on his core, Ibatoya, because he's very difficult to put down. He holds the ball out in one hand. He always offloads. He's very, very dangerous, but he makes mistakes, and he makes 2 or 3 mistakes, a game, which at international level, as pundits we say you can't do, but you've got to take the pluses with the minuses, and the plus at the minute for me is very, very high. Yes, he cost them a game, and yes, he made some mistakes, but Bristol, when you allow them to cut free, they're just so good. What we have to give more credit to, I think, is Saracens. They found a way back into a game where they looked out of it after 45 minutes and then scored all the points for the remaining 35 minutes of the game. Daly was absolutely brilliant, I thought, at the game.
At this point, Euros 32-17 down, man in the bed, they're done, and they're done and dusted.
I thought so.
Most teams.
Yeah, but they find a way. They've done it every single week almost this season, and they've got real pace across the field. They've got a fantastic bench, but for me, Daly was the standout player. He'll probably end up on the bench for England. It's very difficult to get in the 15 or the 13 shirt, but you wouldn't look past him if he was picked, would you, at the minute?
This guy's done himself no harm as well by knocking that over. I think he's had a brilliant start to the season, was asking.
And then we found ourselves in London last night. What a great start it was for Don Bragg coming back after injury. Lovely little shoulder ball off Marcus Smith, who also I thought was excellent, and for me will wear the 10 shirt. Nice little pre-call play off the outside of the boot. They thought Flats in commentary thought he'd not kicked it properly, but then I reminded Flats that he's never kicked the ball in his life, so how the hell would he know how to kick the ball? And Bath found a way back in as well. So the competitiveness of this league has been fantastic, and this weekend has been a real example of that. Just lovely passes. He doesn't quite get there the first time, Glanville, but he works out that the second time there's a defender coming from the outside, so he's going to skip him.
I've actually been really impressed. I mean, Quinn's scored another try here, typical Quinn's, but I've been really impressed with Bath from how they've. When you think you've got Finn Russell at 10, you think they're going to be playing this razzle-dazzle rugby, but they've actually sort of rolled their sleeves up, toughed a couple of games. They had to come from behind again on Saturday evening, the same as against Gloucester the week before, and they've just rolled their sleeves up. They've got a big pack who can just strangle the game, get themselves in the game, keep themselves in the game, and I've been really impressed with almost very un-Finn Russell-y Bath type performances, which is brilliant for a Bath supporter.
Yeah, 15 minutes to go. They were in a similar boat. They were more than 2 scores down. Toy goes over for the try, and then the other prop who's come off the bench, Van Veek, he goes over as well in the corner, and they snatch it at the death. Brilliant performance.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And then here we are, the match we've just finished watching, and again, ebbed and flowed, and we saw some great rugby.
Just another 8 tries to round the highlight show off. But again, a really, really good game of rugby. I think everybody's adopting that positive approach, aren't they? Nobody's looking to sort of win games sort of 12-9 anymore, are they? They're looking to go to the corner, almost turning down 3-pointer opportunities, and I think the product that's on show at the minute is testament to that, and both teams have played brilliant. Gloucester have been, we said on air, every game they've played this year, they've scored a try bonus point. So it just goes to show how the focus, when you focus on something and how well it's coached, it can come off as well.
I'm not sure how many Welsh guys have scored a hat-trick at Welford Road playing for the opposition, so I'd love to know that stat. I can't think of any to mind, but so he might be in his own little gang there, Llewellyn. I thought he had a great game today. Second half, Leicester were a different team. Putting Dan Kelly back into inside centre really showed up.
Вот мне нам танцы мои слова. Я творю свой мир, ломаю устои. Не сдамся, не сломлюсь, я воин идей. В моем сердце огонь, в глазах яркий свет. Я иду напролом сквозь тернии к звездам. Он the grind, мой девиз, мой путь неустанный. On the grind, я качаю биты, мои рифмы снаряды летят сквозь лимиты. Я творец своей судьбы, я во власти этих слов. On the grind, я меняю мир, ломая устои. On the grind, я меняю мир, ломая устои. Я ищу ярких путей, не боюсь преград. Я иду к своей цели, как танк, невзирая на трудности. Это лишь ступени вверх. On the grind, я взлетаю, как птица с ветром вперед. Я художник своей жизни, пишу свой сюжет. Каждый день это новый виток, новый звезд. Не боюсь ошибок, я учусь на лету. On the grind, я расту, становлюсь сильнее. On the grind, я качаю биты, мои рифмы снаряды летят сквозь лимиты. Я творец своей судьбы, я во власти этих слов. On the grind, я меняю мир, моя устой. On the grind, я качаю биты, мои рифмы снаряды летят сквозь лимиты.
midfield. He got the opportunity to carry, but then again, they just found a way. Thomas Williams is playing some brilliant rugby, will almost certainly be in the mix when we get to the autumns, but there he goes over. That's such a good pass across 3 bodies into his hands, and he walks over under the posts, and it was game on and squeaky bum time for a lot of these with 10 minutes to go.
There wouldn't have been any Welshmen scoring hat-tricks when you were playing, Oz, would there?
No, not in the opposition. No, definitely. Darren Morris, I don't think he ever scored a hat. It's the only Welsh guy I played with, I think.
Let's talk about the story of the weekend then, because Newcastle Falcons, 25 matches they went without a victory, but that all ended on Friday night. Let's hear from Steve Diamond.
We've not been reactionary in training, we've not listened to outside noises. Who wants Newcastle in the league and all the rest of it from the journalists who no doubt are texting me at this minute. So we'll just crack on, we'll do our stuff. We're from Seymour Curdy and the Thompson family who own the club. We will make this business sustainable over the next 5 years, and it'll be a challenge for teams to beat us. Great to let them have a night out tonight, because they've had a couple of nights out, but it's not the same when you lose games.
Drinks on Daddy Dimes tonight?
100%.
Go and get started. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, mate. Cheers, bud.
Daddy Dimes, eh? Have you met Daddy Dimes before?
I haven't, no, but I hope there was no Newcastle Brown Ale on display. That stuff should be banned from any sort of bar or restaurant. But a brilliant story, isn't it? A brilliant story for the league, and I think Steve Diamond's reputation is just going to grow and grow. And you can see inside the changing room, they haven't had this feeling for a long, long time. So, and Dom's quite right. You have to enjoy these moments, and they well deserved their night out. And apparently, he picked up the tab last night or Friday night, and he said every win. Apparently, listened to the players, a few of the players there. Every win, he's going to pick up the tab as well. So that's an incentive for the Newcastle boys.
That is an incentive, isn't it?
Certainly is. I might come out of retirement, actually, the opportunity to spend some of his money up in Newcastle. A great night out, particularly if someone else is paying for it. He's definitely had to circle the wagons, hasn't he? There's been a lot of criticism on the outside, rightly so, because they've not won a game for a long period of time, and they've come close on numerous occasions. But he just needed to simplify the game. If you haven't got the amount of talent or the amount to spend that the other clubs have got, you've got to play simple rugby and play it really well, and then stop the opposition from having any decent ball. They did that on Friday night, they got the win.
I think it's really important for Steve as well, because Steve's come in with this big reputation and sort of man management and simplifying things, but Steve's still going to need a result. All of a sudden, that result can sort of give the confidence to the rest of the players to say, right, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy can come in and have an impact, and they can believe in everything else that he says. So I think it was really important for Newcastle, clearly, but really important for Steve as well to have that sort of connection with the players and belief and confidence with them.
Yeah, well, he certainly laid down a marker by offering 3 nights out, so that's the first one in the bank for Newcastle. It's been a brilliant weekend, honestly, from start to finish. Let's have a look at some of the funny points that have caught our eye. I mean, look, I'm here just having a bit of banter with one of the Exeter fans.
I think he's just trying to start a fight, to be honest. He's bored of fighting with his own coaches, and then this is bad as well. There's nothing worse than offering a high five out, and you just get completely ejected.
It's a little bit easier to take when you're 40 points to 10 up at half time or whatever they were in mind as well, whereas if that was 15 all, it would have been a really tough one to take, I'd say.
And this is Sarah on the pitch yesterday, and this is the moment that I dread. This is what wakes me up in the middle of the night.
It's more technique from Sarah. Look, she crosses, she backs off into the tackle. She's going to miss that tackle. You can't tackle with your bum. You've got to keep your shoulders square and drop your height. But this is something that all good fires should do.
Here he is, the leader of our nation. That's why we're so proud of him. Finn Russell. It's showing you exactly how it's done.
Make sure he was left hand as well, so there's no buffalo there either.
And EG, and he's fine. And then Nick Mullins, obviously, just moonlighting.
Oh, there we go. The Leicester Tigers fans absolutely devoted there. That wasn't Nick Mullins, incidentally.
Yes, it was.
Have to stand up for Nick because he's not here to speak for himself. Let's talk about the England squad then, because that is another massive talking point from this week's 36-man squad, 37 if you include George Ford, who's continuing his rehabilitation. What do you make of the squad there? That's the forwards on the screen.
Me?
Anyone?
You go first. You're English. You go first.
I am English, that's correct. I really like it. I think it's good. There's a few omissions that you could argue, or they would argue, might be in. But I don't think that really matters. There's the big decision for me is who they pick at 8. That's a difficult one. And then the backs, I think, almost pick themselves now on form. The only one I wasn't quite sure on is who they're going to pick on the right wing. Faye Waboso, I think, has done enough in the summer. He's obviously not been seeing much ball, or good quality ball with the Chiefs in the first 5 rounds. So you can't really compare the start of the form of this season because he hasn't had much to do. So I think, again, what I'd like to see from England, though, is them form a midfield partnership that lasts longer than 1 game or 2 games.
That's why I think they're so keen to get Slade back. And Henry Slade hasn't played a minute so far this season, but there's no way he's in that squad to not play. And Lawrence and Slade in the summer went really well. They picked basically all the centres are 13s really effectively, aren't they? Yeah. But Lawrence is nailed on, and he'll probably play 12. Continue that relationship with Slade. And what Slade gives you as that second playmaking option, you can allow Lawrence to just worry about the physical side of the game. You've got Slade with his left foot, his kicking option, a brilliant communicator. So he's going to be incredibly key for this back line. You've got the X factor in the back line, in the back three in particular, takes care of itself with your Freemans, your Slytones, your Furbanks, your Theo Boso. So those guys are just taking care of themselves. But that partnership is really important. And I was going to ask you, I know we spoke about sort of the 10 position, but at what point do you give... I think Marcus Smith will play if George Ford isn't fit. But at what point do you give Finn Smith a chance? Because we don't know, none of us know if Finn Smith is probably quite good enough at international level yet. You can't judge Finn Smith at international level off the back of a couple of appearances off the bench.
Well, I think these 4 hard games they've got coming up, he will get a shot, he'll get a go. Maybe Ford comes back from injury and, like you said, he plays for a bit, so he might not. But I think if Furbank gets injured, so if Furbank gets injured, they've got a choice then. Do they move Marcus Smith out to 15, where he's been really good for
very effective.
And also, we saw him recently for Quins, and then you give him that slot then. So you've got 2 real good 10 decision makers, or do you play Stewart because it's going to be a really big aerial battle against New Zealand, South Africa. South Africa, I would play my fastest wingers I possibly could because I see that's where they've got their most danger. Those 2 wide boys for the box are sensational. You need real pace to take them on. So I'd be looking for real pace in that game, but try and mix it up because you've got different styles of play that you can interpret when you're against these sides.
And 9 as well is a big decision for them, isn't it? With obviously Alex Mitchell being out injured.
Oh, it's Spencer. Has to be Spencer at the minute.
You're in the Spencer camp, aren't you?
I wasn't always a fan of Spencer's. I thought he was a bit mechanical. I thought he was a bit box kick orientated. But having watched him this year and the latter half of last year, he's got so much control. His kicking game's fantastic, but moreover, he reads the game, I think, better than the other 9s. You could argue that Randall is more interchangeable if you want to play an open game, but you're not going to see an open game like Bristol play in any of those autumn internationals.
I was just about, that's a really good point from yours, because the way Bristol play club level, it's completely different to going up against the double World Cup champions, or New Zealand coming to town, or even Australia at the minute. They're going to improve. But I think I agree with you. I think I'd go Spencer. You may have then Randall on the bench to come on, and maybe if the game's a bit tight or if he's breaking up. But I agree with you. The international game compared to the club game is so different, and probably you get away with a lot more club level than you do at international level. You're going to get punished quite quickly.
You certainly are. So those the thoughts of the guys on the England camp.
We've got asking those 3 their thoughts after the break, maybe.
Maybe after the break. Yeah, look at this. They're forming a nice formation there. We'll also be asking Dan Bigger all of your questions because plenty have been sent in. So we're putting those to Dan after this. Welcome back to the Rugby Review. There's a PWR game going on here at Welford Road. It's Leicester against Harlequins. Literally just got underway, but that happening out on the pitch. A lot of our friends in the bar actually have left us. So I'm not sure if it's something Austin said or whether it might just be a
train. Bedtime.
Oh,
yeah, they've got 15 minutes before the Moomins is on. I don't know if that's still on.
Happy hour's finished as well. I think that might be another reason.
Well, I saw that big Red Dragon's come back, hasn't he, Barney? He's had 50. He's been in retirement for 15 years. Run out of cash, he's back.
Right, moving on.
Anyway,
quickly moving on.
Yeah.
Dan Bigger's with us. Dan Bigger's with us, and we're delighted to have him with us. You're going to be part of our Autumn Station Series coverage. But yeah, we've got to say, you guys have been sending your questions in for Dan, and well, there's some belters. You nervous?
A little bit, yeah. I've got to be honest. Most nervous I've been all day, to be honest.
Right, we're going to start with one from Jake. What is your best rugby tour that you've been on?
Best rugby tour.
And you need to say why.
Okay, I'm going to go South Africa 2022 with Wales, because it was the year after the Lions where we went for COVID, which was the worst rugby tour essentially, because nothing was open. We were in our own rooms, locked in the hotel, etc. And then we went back to the same country a year later. We had full use of all the safaris, the casinos, the restaurants, the bars, etc. And it was just, I think everyone was just so happy to be out and about. To be fair to the coaches, they made it a really good social tour as well, in terms of meals out, drinks out, and things when we arrived in midweek. So I'd say that was the best tour I've been on.
2000 South Africa, England. When I rolled a golf cart down the hill into a hotel room anyway, I won't tell you where it was. But that was my favourite.
Oh,
I was hobnobbing then. I was trying to move up in society, and I met this guy called Mike Tyndall, who I knew eventually would be 16th in line to the throne. So yeah, I went for him. And I still haven't got an MBA.
Oh.
I know. I'm like you.
Unbelievable.
I know it is.
Stick with it though. Stick with it.
So please, I've done a lot for charity.
Oh my goodness. Shameless. Absolutely shameless. Right, back to Dan. Who was the biggest influence in your early career? That's from Martin.
Early on in my career, I'd say somebody like Sean Holly, my first coach at the Ospreys, was really important to me, because there was a decision to be made when I started coming
through.
What a great
guy as well.
Brilliant bloke, one of the best. There was a decision to be made with, do they continue with James Hook at 10, or do they give a young guy like myself a chance? So for me, Sean stuck his neck out for me and put his neck on the block for me and just backed me to the hilt, even when I didn't play well, which was often back then. So he would have been the biggest influence for me. He gave me the chance, he backed me, and he gave me the confidence to go on to where I am today.
You wouldn't have heard our directory as Welsh, then he just went, when you said Sean's name, you went, oh, Sean.
Sean. No, he's a great top bloke.
He's
one
laughing,
of the best.
he's laughing now as well.
Great guy, Sean Holly.
It's an equal opportunities thing, having a Welsh director.
got a lot of Welsh influence, actually, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
Still making yourself popular with the Welsh, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I've sold up there now.
Right, number 3. This is, what was the transition like to the top 14?
Originally, really good. Yeah, it was quite seamless, really. The league is a monster of a league with the crowds, the sort of the teams. How it's almost like every match is a test match. So that was quite an easy bit at the start. It becomes, after a World Cup and you're a little bit more tired, then you've got to go on 6-hour bus trips to Toulouse and coming back and things like that. So there's a lot of travel. It's constantly week in, week out. There's no real breaks in it. So that's been hard, especially after obviously the main part of my season after a World Cup and getting on a little bit. So it's been more difficult in that sense. But the league is, it's like literally a test match every week. The French public are absolutely insane.
The atmospheres are insane, huh?
It's almost more important that the club wins than the national team in France. And it's been a brilliant experience. I will say, anybody who hasn't played abroad or sampled something different, I would highly recommend it. Even if you don't really want to do it, to say that you've lived in Toulon or whatever for a couple of years is a brilliant experience.
Yeah, positives outweigh the negatives for sure.
Where were you living before on the Côte d'Azur?
As in,
where were you living in Wales?
Well, I was living in Swansea and Northamptonshire.
Then down near Saint-Tropez now.
Just before Saint-Tropez.
Can see the attraction.
Yeah, definitely. It's actually funny you talk about that because Emma has asked Welsh cakes or croissants.
Oh, Welsh cakes.
Wow, yeah, Welsh cakes has got to stick. Yeah, easy
Emma.
one. I know Emma actually. I think I saw that it was Emma who was lived in the village we used to live in Bracken.
Emma Cadden.
Emma Cadden, yeah. So,
there you go. A big shout out to Emma. Welsh cakes get the vote. I've never had a Welsh cake before, so I can't even comment.
It's a big claim from you.
I know my other house was
laden with currants, aren't they?
tatty scones. That's what we have.
Yeah.
Tatty scones. They're not laden with currants, I might add.
Anyway,
right. How did the dance start for your conversion kicks? That's from Jacob.
This what we now 9 years afterwards. We're still talking about
Jacob.
It must have done all right off the back of it. How did it start? It was ridiculous when you look back now and you see the videos and things. But we were out in Qatar in World Cup training camp, and it was just so hot and sweaty and things, and I just got fidgety and. I'm quite a nervous sort of bloke when I'm kicking and on the field and things anyway, so it was just started from there and I just couldn't get control of it. And then I had to slowly wean myself off it the weeks and months after the World Cup. And
superstitions are hard to get rid of, aren't they?
Well, the thing is, though, I didn't even realise I was doing it. So like you're just in the zone when you're preparing to kick or whatever it is, and you don't realise, and then you look at the videos back and you think, oh Jesus, Dan, what are you doing, sort of thing. But
that was before the generation of GIFs as well.
Exactly, yeah. So God help us if I'd have produced that now in this day and age. But I've weaned myself off it, and I'm back to a bit more pragmatic approach now.
Brilliant, love it. And final question then: who's your Lions starting 10? That one is from Piers.
I think it's hard to look past Russell at the minute. I think he's in the box seat. I will say that he's definitely in the box seat at the minute. There's a lot of rugby to be played until between now and the squad's announced in April or May or whatever it is. So he's clearly been in great form, and I think if they have a really good autumn, and the Six Nations is a big thing. Six Nations is always the biggest thing for selection. So I'd say Finn is in the box seat at the minute. I think Marcus is going to be there or thereabouts. And I think those two are probably in pole position at the minute.
So how did you go along with that?
Yeah, I think Faz will be in there. I haven't seen much of him playing over in France, but I think he'll be in the mix, definitely. But he won't have that shot window of the Six Nations, which is a big difference.
Yeah. The thing with Faz about the top 14 season goes on longer and longer as well. So that is a factor as well in terms of boys, for argument's sake, like Jack Willis as well, as an option. You know what I mean?
He misses the warm-up games.
So you miss the warm-up game and maybe a week in Australia. So that's to have to take into account as well.
Have you done bigger?
No. From my end and from everyone else's end, I think that's a firm no.
Right, we've got quick fire questions for you now, Dan. Favourite ground to play at?
Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria.
Oh, nice. Favourite anthem apart from Wales?
South African anthem in Loftus Versfeld. Perfect.
Right, there you go. Best roommate?
Tom Francis for Wales. Room with him. Tight head prop, brings all the suites, arranges the beds and all the furniture, so we get as much floor space for our kit bags and everything as possible.
Oh, what a dream. Worst roommate?
Gareth Anscombe. Can't get a word of positivity out of him. Can't get a word of positivity, but I quite like that in a way as well. But it's if you need picking up, he's not your man at the end of a long training day.
Fair enough. Karaoke song?
Shallow from Star Is Born.
Oh, deep.
I'm not giving you a...
I was going to say, the first couple of bars.
First
couple of bars.
Hold on a sec, we haven't cleared everyone out of the bar. I mean, you can just give us Shallow, that should get rid of the bar staff as well, and everyone will be off. And the cameraman. Already left.
Favourite TNT pundit? I didn't write these.
Oh, I'm definitely not going for Austin. Who do I like Ben Kay. Ben Kay's good. Yeah, Ben Kay's good. I like Ben.
All right, here we go. Most famous person in your phone book?
Most famous
Austin?
person in
Is that Austin
my
this
phone?
time? No.
Austin, no. Most famous person in my phone book would be Aaron Ramsey, maybe?
Right.
Aaron Ramsey would be...
He did miss a penalty for Rangers in the Europa League final.
Yeah, I know,
Just
but
gonna
he's
add
still
that in.
quite famous. Played with Ronaldo
He's
in
very
Juventus,
famous.
so I'd probably go him, yeah.
Right, and the last one, Mumbles or Monaco?
It's cheaper to get a pint in Mumbles, that's for sure. So I'd go Mumbles off the basis of it's cheaper, a lot cheaper to get a pint. I will say I paid €17 for a pint in Monaco once, so I only had the one.
I bet you did. Well, thank you very much for that. All fun and games there. Let's revisit then what's been happening over the weekend, because this rounds up round 5. Northampton and Newcastle getting the victories on Friday. Then on Saturday, it was Saracens and Bath. And then here this afternoon, Leicester took the win and the Slater Cup against Gloucester. And this is how the table looks. Saracens are now top. Leicester are up to 3rd. Bristol down to 4th as well. Northampton in 5th there. And you can see Gloucester still sitting in 8th. The great news is, though, there is still so much to look forward to before that Autumn Nations series gets underway. This is what we have to look forward to next week. Bristol, Northampton, that gets us underway on Friday night. And then Saturday, Bath against Sale, Gloucester against Newcastle. Can Newcastle back up that first win of the season against Gloucester? Saracens against Leicester. That wraps up the action there on Saturday. And then Saracens against Gloucester. That is in the PWR on Sunday. And then it's Gallagher Premiership Exeter against Harlequins. And of course, this very show, the Rugby Review, back again 5:15 next week. Dan, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. Safe travels back to France. Austin, thank you very much. Safe travels for your holidays.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the sunshine. Oh, what a vision.
Are you on the EasyJet flight or? Yeah.
We're going to leave you with the thought of Austin in his